What is up, guys? Welcome back. It's Strokefish, week 17. Week 7 of Draft Classics season 17, where we have our first matchup with Sean of the Atlantic City Wingles with our last week's opponent, the Miami Dolphins, coached by Cooley. I always almost say Air Force Corviknights because that was Sean's old name, but he's changed his team name since then. And he's also changed his team. He ended up dropping Kieran Black, his Flamigo, and what was the last Pokemon? Abomasnow for Chestnut, Ursaring, and Kyurem. I think the change is decent. I think dropping Kieran Black is definitely tough because it's definitely a really strong Pokemon, but I do think it's locked in a little bit without Dragon Dance. It doesn't have as many good sets to run. Cooley did not make any changes to his team. I think his team is good, so I don't think he really needed to make changes outside of this arena. I think his team is at a really solid point. Looking at the matchup, Zero Aura really goes crazy here. I think something like a special Zero Aura was something that Sean was heavily contemplating and wanted to go in here with. Tinkaton looks really annoying as well. If Chiyu and Crocodile can't kind of chip it down, it resists pretty much everything else. And I don't know if he's bringing Chestnut this week. I could see him bringing it, though it's a little hard to bring with stuff like Petch. Yeah, that's an ad. We love that. Come on, guys. Why are we putting ads in the Pokemon royalty free mix? Anyway, let's honestly just jump right straight into it. I think Starmie's good. Blacephalon looks solid here with Scarf. Obviously, Chiyu's probably going to be Scarf here to outspeed Zero Aura and Starmie. But you never know. Maybe it's kind of trying to get the jump on stuff. Kyurem looks okay, but I feel like with stuff like Iron Vow, it's a little hard to bring with Scizor as well, is the main thing. Alright, so he does end up bringing Chestnut. Tentacruel also looks really good in this matchup. Cooley brings us a pretty solid team. Meowstic, he ends up bringing over, what would be like the better Pokemon to bring? I feel like Scizor feels like a little better here. I think honestly leaving Scizor on the bench is a little hard, but also like I kind of get it because like, Zero Aura might run Fire Punch. It's not great against Blacephalon. Like, it's not really revenging any of Sean's stronger Pokemon, but I feel like just the fact that it kind of does well into Kyurem definitely might warrant it coming. But Meowstic also has decent matchup, just a little bit tough into stuff like Blacephalon. But it's decent in Starmie, can maybe get some stuff going against Zero Aura. I don't know what Sean leads, but I feel like he tends to lead Starmie, but I feel like he changed up this game, and maybe he leads like Tink or something. I feel like everything that, I guess I would be scared of Crook lead, so maybe he just leads like Fast Cruel. He could also lead Chestnut as well. I feel like Chestnut's not bad because like Noivern's pretty easy to switch into. He does lead Chestnut as he leads Noivern. Okay, so pretty much, honestly, I promise I didn't remember that. I just was like, Cooley tends to lead Noivern, which makes sense. It's a fast U-turner, can get off of a quick U-turn, kind of gauge some sets, and get the momentum versus whatever wants to come in. So I feel like U-turn's coming off here. He could either go Cruel, probably goes Tank, but we'll see. Ends up going Cruel, goes for the U-turn. No, actually goes for Flame. I think definitely maybe it was okay if like you were expecting Tank, but I feel like because Cruel is a decent switch as well, I think U-turn would have been a little bit better play, but we don't knock that too much. So now you lose a little bit of momentum, which sucks because now Sean can get the momentum with either knockoff or flip turn. And getting a knockoff on that road is really, really key to helping Zero Aura break through this team and Starmie as well. And also sees if this thing was like Helmet or something. Chestnut comes in, eats that up, and it was Rocky Helmet, which also Frisk is nice as a lead as well. So gonna get up a Spike. We'll see if this thing is Defog. It probably is. So does it end up going for that here? It is. Obviously, Defog still works through Clear Body. Draco misses, which sucks because I would have gotten some good damage off on that Cruel. But, it's okay, I guess. But yeah, that miss kind of sucks. So he goes hard Crocodile in this. I think with, obviously, this is predicting physical Zero Aura, but this is special. So I think a little tough for him to deal with that, but you could definitely see like a Shucka variant or like Intim. So I think going Chestnut here is his best play. If he goes for something like Gunk, that's really good. I don't know based on the calcs, but it doesn't look like super offensive. So I would just try to get up another Spike here, and slowly but surely Chestnut is kind of getting this team going. Draco sucks there to take that with Zero Aura, but you can definitely fire back with a Calm Mind and do some decent stuff here. Ends up going for T-Bolt, but he's getting leftovers recovery, so over time he's gonna be doing stuff. Ends up going for rocks, which obviously are going to make some good progress in this game. And we'll see if Chestnut, yep, it goes for knockoff. That's great, great little mid-ground. Yeah, Chestnut's nice. It's a Pokemon that I feel like a lot of people think is bad because it's, grass fighting I feel like gets a bad rap. It's not a great offensive type, but defensively it's decent. Or actually offensively it's solid, and then defensively definitely has a lot of things that it's weak to, like Fairy, Fire, and Flying. But in this matchup, it's really solid because it can kind of come in for Crocodile. It's defensive, so it doesn't really care if it gets skunked too much, and obviously resist Rotom's Dual Stab. Goes for Flame again. I think, again, going for U-turn there was probably the play, because you can, maybe he doesn't have, oh no, he does have U-turn, what am I talking about? Like, I get that, like, Tinkaton is, like, hasn't come in yet, but again, like, even if Tink comes in, like, you have very, very easy switch in with Chi-Yu there. Like, Chi-Yu does not get switched in well with this team at all, so I think just getting momentum versus this, and then obviously if Tentacruel comes in, you're chipping it down, and you can go something like Rotom Wash, and potentially, well, again, I understand with Zero Aura being around, it's not like a free Volt switch, but yeah, you can U-turn something like Meowstic and get some pressure going. So he gets U-turn off now. He's going to go to Meowstic. He goes into Rotom. Makes sense. He's going to go for Flip. Left up started knocked off. So Sean really, really getting good momentum in this game. We'll see if Wisp or anything comes off. He can go for probably Calm Mind here. I ends up going for Aura Sphere, just raw, which is awesome. So really solid play there on Sean's end, knowing that Crocodile will probably come in. If he got the Calm Mind off there, he probably would have been able to kill this, but I think this also covered if this Crocodile was like randomly Chople. If he was Scarf here, that would be really interesting. I don't know. I think he didn't reveal it, but I think Sean made the call here that it's not Scarf, Rocks, and he ends up taking out the Crocodile. So really solid play there. I actually think Crocodile being Scarf makes a good amount of sense because obviously Starmie, Zero Aura, and Blacephalon. Obviously Blacephalon is likely Scarf too, so not really doing too much there, but just another way to kind of check something like Zero Aura is really nice. So ends up going Iron Valiant because it's the only Pokemon that can revenge kill this thing outside of like Scarf Chi-Yu, which again does decent, like just getting stuff off. So you gotta be kind of careful, just wasting the booster. Something I've noticed, I think, a little bit with Iron Valiant, you got to be really careful about when it comes in. It's a really hard Pokemon to kind of play with because I think you got to really conserve that booster, but at the same time, like, you can't really be too afraid to, like, preserve it and, like, switch it out. So it's really, really important to position it properly. I think Cooley's done a solid job relatively, but I feel like a lot of times I think like one little thing I maybe would mention is like getting a little bit of chip. This is actually like really annoying. I'm sorry guys. Yeah, we're gonna get to one that doesn't have ads. I'm sure this one has ads as well, but yeah, you gotta position it well. So he gets to knock off the Rocky Helmet off on Chestnut, which is honestly doesn't really matter because like you don't really care about any, like, none of your Pokemon are physical other than this Valiant perhaps, but it's not even that. Also, shout out Moonblast not being blocked by Bulletproof. So Tink gets in here, can pretty freely either go for Rocks or Knockoff or whatever it wants to do. Goes for Gigaton Hammer, does absolutely nothing that Rotom. Ends up just getting off his screens, which is going to be really, really awesome for stuff like Zero Aura or maybe like a Starmie. And ends up encoring into Willow. So can go Zero Aura here. We'll see if he ends up going for the Willow again. He does not. And now this is a great position. Light Screen is going to do a lot of mileage here because all of his Pokemon are special attackers on the team. So he ends up going for Calm Mind. He's going to be sub, and I don't think this can be broken at all, so this is really awesome. Also, I think Pain Split was tough, but it's a better play than Willowing, obviously, because, like, if they... I don't know. But I don't know if I don't think Hydro Hydro does not break. So this is looking quite grim. I think Thunderbolt might just clean here. If it still doesn't break sub, which is insane. So now Thunderbolt should kill. Amazing. So now you have to go something like Chi-Yu to get this thing, or Meowstic, which is it Psychic Noise? What is it? Oh, it's just Light Screen. Takes 2 Thunderbolts, which is pretty crazy actually. Ends up swapping into Noivern there, ends up going for another Calm Mind, which is pretty cool. And yeah, just T-Bolts, and now this thing is +3/+3, and I don't really see a way for Cooley to come back from this. Yeah, he goes for Overheat. Does Chi live this through it does live it through Light Screen, which is pretty awesome. So I guess he can come back with critting, which, you know, with how lucky some of these games have been, I wouldn't be too appalled by that. That still does 18%, which, you know, isn't crazy. That's -2 on +3 Zero Aura, so, you know, not too crazy. So yeah, Sean's gonna kind of clean this one up. Zero Aura is too fast to do anything. I'm surprised Meowstic doesn't have any like Yawn or anything to kind of like slow this thing down, but I guess it had Charm predicting physical Zero Aura. So Sean's gonna take this in a very dominating fashion, and it's very. I think this is a great Sean like win. Like I think a lot of the prior games have really showcased like Sean is a very consistent player, and I think obviously Hacks gets the best of you. Bad matchups get the best of you, and this I think the team definitely suits his playstyle a little bit better. So I'm glad he can get a really solid win versus a good opponent. And yeah, I'm excited. Hopefully he maybe makes a playoff push, because I'm rooting for him at least. Okay, next up we have my absolute goat, Jotun, or Jutton, whatever. It's Jotun. It's what I've always called him. Versus Tavin. So Tavin, I think he had these changes last time. He has Infernape, Grafaiai, Excadrill, Vikavolt, and I think he always had Avalugg. But Vikavolt's awesome. I think Ape is really, I don't want to say underrated, but I think we've had it overrated for a while. So now in this format, I think it's very underrated because it's just so versatile. It's such a fun Pokemon to use. Like, it can fit a lot of roles, but I think in power creep meta, it's a little hard to use a little bit, just because it's not getting the same power it once was, and it's just not as fast as it used to be. So definitely a Pokemon that I think fell off, but I think it's a very fun Pokemon regardless. On paper, this team looks really, really Lando weak. If Lando can get a little bit of chip on stuff, I think the only thing really stopping it would be like, I guess Feeny is like the best way he could beat it, but like you gotta have like stuff on every Pokemon to beat Lando, because Excadrill is just Lando food. I mean, maybe Toxic on Excadrill could maybe do it, but you gotta be careful about the synergy with Feeny. Maybe like Toxic Protect, like maybe Air Balloon. Like I don't even know what you gotta do with that to beat that 1v1. Mega Lop also looks really insane here. Like, I guess Zapdos, but I think from what I recall when I used Mega Lop, I think Zapdos gets 2 code. Rocky Helmet, and also Static obviously is a thing, but I mean, Tapu Fini's a solid check though as well, so it's not it's a good Pokemon for that reason. I think, oh, you know what? He definitely made some changes. Let me, it's fine, I guess. I think he got rid, oh, he has Darmg, I think. He's Darmanitan, Galarian. Dang, I thought I got all of them. That's fine. Yeah, but he doesn't have Tornadus anymore. He has like Darmg, and then like I think he got rid of Blissey as well. I think for like some 2-pointer. I think it was like Cursula for Blissey, and then he got like Darmg over Tornadus, or like the 2. And then I feel like he got rid of something else, maybe like Celebi, but yeah, Darmg is also insane in this matchup. Like like the only thing he really switches in is Feeny, and then that just gets U-turn on. It probably takes like 25%, and then in comes something like Raging Bolt. Actually, I mean, Feeny goes crazy here. Like, I think if he can set up Feeny properly, I don't remember if he still has Celebi, but we're gonna find out. So he ends up bringing Ape. Let's see, he Ape Zapdos. I feel like it's like, yeah, the most solid team that you could bring. Like, I think Darmanitan is definitely gonna be putting a lot of mileage in this game. I think Scarf is probably the best set, so you probably have to run something like Scarf Ape. Talonflame looks really good here. Just kind of U-turning it around. Maybe getting the Brave Bird off versus something like it's Infernape. Something like Stone Edge is probably likely. I think Ape actually could go in here, depending on the right set. So you gotta kind of support it well. But and then Roaring Moon could be really crazy here as well. So we'll see what happens. I think he leads town. Oh, okay. Would have similar. Makes sense. So tough lead for Tavin. Jun can get a pretty free Brave Bird off here, obviously risking the static proc. That's fine. So U-turns on Skuntank as brings out Excadrill. So good play there. Now you get your momentum, and now Excadrill can either get Rocks or Rock Slide here. Rock Slide crit really sucks. I think Clear Amulet I think is fine. I think I would have rather been like a leftovers like Toxic set or like Air Balloon. Like I feel like obviously Air Balloon is tough because you want to be switching into moves, right? But, you know, if you're bringing this thing in with U-turn on Zapdos into Skuntank, then you can definitely very freely run this thing Air Balloon, and then you're basically, I guess you could just U-turn on you, so that's not really a great set. Maybe something like Shucka would be great, because then you can probably live something like a +2. Oh my goodness me, can these ads, like, I need like an ad blocker or something. This is ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I think Toxic was the best way to beat this. Again, like I said, with Fini and stuff, but you know that Landorus is going to be the main boon to your team, and I understand like not putting the most, like you're like, oh, you know, maybe I can like beat it with like Fini or something, which is probably the main way to do it. But getting damage on it is good. So I think going for Toxic is better, but then like maybe just like Iron Heading it down or something with like Shucka or like extra usually run like HP Ice for Lando. But Chun is leftovers, so it's going to make this thing get some good mileage. He's SD, which is very, very scary for something like even Zapdos. Like Hurricane probably doesn't kill. If this is Dual Dance, which it is, like Edgequake just kind of cooks this team. So you can pretty freely just go for Stone Edge or another Swords Dance here. Yeah, Swords Dance is a good play. Yeah, I think it was pretty justified too. Like you shouldn't die to Hurricane here, like unless he confuses, which would really, really suck. But getting out Swords Dance basically guarantees that you can get a kill on Fini, most likely. And we'll see if it kills. Earthquake does in fact kill Fini, which is pretty awesome. And he's gonna intimidate him, but I don't think it's enough. Yeah, dang. So I think this is just a straight up sweep. Yeah, Earthquake just, I mean, unless he misses like Stone Edge and Hurricane confuses or some stuff like that. But he's not even Stone Edge, he's just Rock Slide, which honestly makes sense because like you don't even really need to risk Stone Edge if you're setting up. So I think running some Toxics would be really good versus this Lando. And Lando basically ends this game at full HP. So tough loss. I think a good amount to learn though. I think just kind of knowing what your opponent is going to bring. Like obviously Lando went in. And I think over-prepping for stuff is, like, generally, I wouldn't advise it, but I think just having, like, my general rule of thumb is try to, like, have every Pokemon be able to check as many Pokemon as they can, right? Like, if something like basically preventing setup from stuff and then also simultaneously being able to do something versus it, right? Like, always have something to do, right? So something like Extra Drill, like running Rock Slide, Swords Dance, or stuff like that, like, you're just asking to get walled by Landorus, and then, like, it just gives it free setup opportunity. Like, granted, like, if he wasn't set up, you know, it would have been probably fine. Yeah, but it's hard, right? Like, I think it just comes down to kind of telegraphing like what certain things are gonna happen. But great game was done. I think Tavin just got mixed up by the play. I think he said he thought like Fini could live. So all good there. Moving on to the next matchup, we have TLC C3. Who made some changes to his team. I don't know why it's showing this like this. There should be a Hydrapple on there, but maybe Hydrapple doesn't have. No, Hydrapple has it. What's the one that's missing? Or Urshifu. Okay, well, Urshifu, you should. I guess maybe it's Urshifu single. Okay, well, he ends up anyway. He's going up against Basculegion Boom, which is our opponent last week. Let me change it to Urshifu single. Yeah, okay, there we go. So, which is very interesting. These teams are both really, really slow. Obviously, TLC has some decent ways of boosting speed. I think BLB's Scarfers are worse, obviously, or Shifu's a great Scarfer. But Blaziken could definitely go in here. Like, I don't really see a great Blaziken answer here. Like, obviously a Manaphy, which can take a hit, but, yeah, if Weezing gets chipped, like, this thing could definitely do some stuff. So Flare Blitz plus Close Combat kind of just cooks this team. So you can really just run Protect, Sword Stance, Dual Stab, and do a good amount of mileage here. Lottie also looks really solid, but again, our Shifu kind of can be annoying. You can have, in low kicks, I feel like is solid here, just kind of, I guess with Weezing it's not great. So we'll see. He probably doesn't bring it. He probably brings like Toxapex, because Toxapex is a pretty solid matchup here in general. Ferrothorn, pretty self-explanatory. I think Charizard X definitely needs a solid check here. I think Toxapex should be able to deal with it, but we'll see. And Latios just overall does decent. So I think Gliscor could put in some mileage here as well. Just got to be careful of Manaphy, but otherwise is pretty good. Yeah, I think Registeel probably comes. It feels decent in this matchup, and just gotta be careful of that Blaziken, man. That Blaziken can get out of control quick. So ends up bringing pretty normal stuff. He ends up bringing the Rotom Fan, which actually is pretty solid matchup here. I think it's pretty good into stuff like Urshifu. Like it can probably take a hit and then fire back an Air Slash. That probably does a lot. Deals with Hydrapple relatively well, and can kind of pain split a lot of these like high HP regenerator slash like long-term stuff Pokemon. Doesn't bring the Registeel, which again makes you a little less weak to Blaziken, so that makes sense here. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what his Blaziken check is. I think it's just obviously Wheezing, but I guess Manaphy as well. Like he has ways to beat it. Like I'm not too worried. He probably was like Rocky Helmet, Hatterene. But yeah, in terms of leads, I could see him just like leading Lottie or something, like flip turning out, and then something like maybe Urshifu could kind of just get some stuff going. Ends up leading Hatterene. I feel like it's a very common lead for C3, but Gliscor is going to be the lead, so we'll see if he ends up protecting. Get your protect going, please. Get that Toxic Orb. It's going to make Gliscor so much better. That's fine. Maybe he's not running Protect. But U-Turn's a fine play. I would have loved to see a Toxic Orb frog there, please. But yeah, this Hatterene probably goes for Psychic Noise and probably goes Pharaoh and then makes the pivot out. Or no, he has Lottie. Okay. I think that's fine. Yeah, Psychic Noise is a decent play there. I guess makes sense versus Gliscor, so you can't get recovery after. But I think just protecting and then U-turning is fine. Into something like, yeah, Lottie is probably fine, but he probably knows that he's going to not stay in. But who knows? So Lottie's a little risky, because obviously you can get nuzzled. So now he probably goes Pharaoh to block the nuzzle. Great play. You see if he's Helmet. He is Helmet. And it doesn't go for Mystical Fire. So he goes for Gyro Ball, does a good chunk. And that probably would have done a good chunk to Hatterene, though it is very slow, so maybe it would only have been like 60 or 80 base power. I don't know how the calcs work there. Toxapex a very solid switch into Hydrapple. Even with that Earth Power, it does only 41, so didn't get the... Even with Spit Off Drop, it wouldn't have 2-KO'd. Hatterene's a little tough, because like, that thing was just like Gunk Shot. Like, actually, like a Poison move would have a pretty good amount of mileage here. Obviously, you have, what's it called, Wheezing, but like, it's not necessarily taking that, you know? So, a little bit risky, but I understand the play, right? Like, you don't really care too much. But this Hatterene's getting kind of chipped down. He goes for the Drain Kiss, again takes, Rocky Helmet and Iron Barbs. Goes for Mystical Fire, just straight up knocks out the Ferrothorn. Kind of a tough play, but you didn't really have too much else to switch in. But yeah, I think just hacking Ferrothorn was a huge mistake because you have a lot, like you have a check to Manaphy essentially. And this Hatterene's low, but again, maybe like you didn't want it to get health. So I think going something like maybe a Toxapex would have been decent there. Even something like Gliscor would have been fine. Like, cause he's gonna Draining Kiss, can't nuzzle you. You're gonna take very little, and Draining Kiss is probably still gonna put him in range of like Earthquake. So I think Gliscor is a much better play there. But he can pretty freely Volt Switch because he has no Ground type on the team, no Iron Treads, which I actually think is interesting. But it does get kind of walled by Pharaoh, so makes sense. Blaziken comes in, and this is a pretty bad situation for BLB, but he's going to be the Acid Armor Stored Power set, which is makes sense, but I think Haze is pretty free. I would have gone for Stored Power there because you can get some solid damage on this Toxapex, and him going for T-Spikes was definitely a play. But I take Heart's a great set because obviously you can't get Toxic by this Toxapex. Is it really beating it 1v1 is the hard thing, right? So he goes for Stored Power. If he had gone for Stored Power earlier, that would have been +2. That probably would have done like that would have done a good chunk. So he should. I think C Theory's probably like kicking himself for making that play. But I think the actually set itself is like very solid. I think Owen was a little bit preemptive and not going for Haze. I think Toxic Spikes is fine because it allows Hydrapple to get like poison and stuff. But we'll see, like, what this, I think it just kind of just stays in and just hazes it. Goes for Store Power. And goes for T-Bolt. Doesn't really do anything. And, like, does this have a way to heal is the question. But he just keeps going for Take Heart. Thunderbolt again. Goes for Scald. Yeah, it doesn't have a healing way other than Leftovers, so, this is Recover Lottie, though, which is really awesome. We'll see if he gets the burn again. He doesn't get burn. So now you can just go for T-Bolt twice, but he goes for Recover. Now I don't, like, think that this... He's getting unlucky with not getting Scald Burns. Yeah, I think Owen's definitely playing this a little bit... Like, he's playing it dangerous. Because, like, Lottie very easily could have just 2-hit KO'd that thing. Obviously, you don't love to, like, get it weakened, but... I think this is the turn, right? Like you get to what, like 89%. Skull is doing 30. Like even crit burn should do 45. Like this, and you can 2-hit KO this Manaphy, right? But now you put yourself in a position where after, I mean, this is fine, but like you should have just Skull. You should have just T-bolted here. You know this is doing 22, which would have been a roll after, but I would have tried to take this out. Now you go Toxapex, and it's like, dude, like Stored Power is going to do crazy damage. So. And like you're just letting this thing get leftovers. So I think this is like this is a sequence that I think is really, really poorly executed by Owen, because now your Toxapex just dies and now you lose great answers to stuff like Hydrapple and Wheezing. And I think T-Bolt, yeah, like you should have just T-Bolted twice, right? Like again, not really the play there. But he gets crit, so yeah, cool. Yeah, and he ends up being neutralizing gas, so his toxic effects didn't really matter. But I think you could have very, very easily put yourself in a much better position there. Like that Acid Armor Store Power set was fine, but like I think knowing that Lottie could have just kind of 1v1'd you is not really something I'm too fond of. Obviously, granted, like if you're expecting something like even a Psyshock, I guess with Acid Armor, right? Because like you can just like Acid Armor through Psyshock. So I understand the mentality there. Like, oh, if he Psyshock Draco, he basically just beats this 1v1. But the fact he was T-Bolt definitely kind of put a monkey wrench in that. But yeah, I think Owen could very, very easily be up 3-4 right now, or 6-4 right now if he played his cards a little better. And he brings in Wheezing on this Lottie, just to get rid of the T-Spikes, which makes sense, right? So, because now you can make the pivot into Urshifu. If I was him, I would go very hard Draco or something, but he doesn't. So he's probably Scarf here, but he doesn't. He's not Scarf, and Lottie just gets killed with Draco. So absolutely great play by Owen. I think C3 probably presumed that this thing would assume he was Scarf, which is something I would assume too. Like I'd be like, okay, he's bringing in Urshifu to like. The fact he doesn't have Scarf or Urshifu, I think that was a little bit of a prep mistake because you have nothing on your speed that outspeeds Lottie, right? And not that like Lottie's kind of a huge threat to your team. Like the fact you lead Hatterene, and which is like your main Lottie check, and I guess maybe like he expected with like a Psyshock set, like maybe that he could have just taken it out, and maybe like that Draco didn't always kill. I don't know the roles on it, but Draco's pretty strong and Urshifu's pretty bad speed F. So yeah, maybe it was like Sucker, and that was his way to beat it. But it was, you know, if you're either locked in band or like you're relying on Sucker, I think that's a tough thing because obviously this is a situation where like Lottie's fully expecting Sucker. So I don't think it was like necessarily a misplay on C3's part, but I think it was a little bit of misprep, right? Like I think it's more reliable to have something like just Scarf or Shifu to just guaranteed outspeed both Lottie and Blaziken, and just have a way to like U-turn on stuff. Like because if you U-turn on this, like okay, now you go into something like Wheezing, or you could just like straight Wicked Blow it, because like at this point Wicked Blow just murks through the team, right? Like he can't go hard Blaziken. So anyway. Goes Zard because like he can take the Draco pretty well, and yeah, that's looking quite now it's looking a little grim, but he's now basically gonna be forced to Mega here, which he can now go Volt Switch and probably Volt Switch into, I assume, his Gliscor, which is again solid play, right? Like okay, fine, there you go, running the other thing, and just dies to Flare Blitz. So unfortunately, I don't think Charizard ever didn't kill with that Flare Blitz. But Rotom is Sash, which is really, really great prep, and ends up killing this Charizard with Air Slash. So, like, really, really awesome prep by Owen to, like, just have a stopgap versus Charizard. So, really, really proud of that. I think C3's obviously game plan was very, very solid. Like, he's like, okay, like Charizard probably just wins here. But, you know, obviously not expecting Sash. Puts him in a really precarious situation here. Obviously he has 2 defensive beasts, so I'm not too difficult with that. That Air Slash, again, it might have been AV. That really sucks. Like, you basically kind of cleaning up the game a little bit with Lottie. Now, granted, like, he goes Lottie. He probably goes hard Wheezing on the Draco, gets Luster Purged, either goes back into Hydrapple. It kind of depends on if he gets Spidef dropped or not, but, like, it's looking a little bit grim for what's it called, for C3, because Wheezing, it doesn't like to take damage, so, like, you can't really, like, beat it, because, like, especially if you get Spidef drop on Hydrapple. I don't know. I mean, one wrong play, like, Luster Purge hits both, so, like, if you just Luster Purge twice, you might be in the air. So, the Air Slash, that miss really, really sucks. But again, I feel like the crit on Manaphy too sucks, so, like he could have just won that game. So, I think I don't really blame, or, like, I don't really favor any player. I think Owen had great, like, again, the plays were not there. Like, you probably should protect your Gliscor. Like, you shouldn't have sacked your Toxapex. You shouldn't have sacked your Pharaoh. You're letting the Manaphy set up. But Sash Rotom, very, very solid. And making that play versus Urshifu brought the game back. And then just unfortunately got to miss the Air Slash. So a tough series of turns, but it is what it is. So Weezing Galar comes in. Doesn't even matter about neutralizing gas at this point, because you can just kind of, yeah. So Flare Blitz is half. If he SD'd there, that might have been game. Like, I think, because this Weezing would have died, and then Hydrapple very, very much did not live that. So, yeah, that would have been really bad. So now this Weezing lives another Flare Blitz. And, yeah, unfortunately, he does not make the play to SD. But, again, this is very winnable from what's his face's perspective, but he ends up being Recover, which is like, dang, okay. But again, like, is Draco, I think Draco into, he ends up Luster Purging, which I don't think was the play, right? Because Weezing always dies to a Luster Purge. Yeah, like, well, okay, right? Like, if Weezing, yeah, I guess you were hoping that you would kill with Luster Purge. But yeah, so, like, it sucks because it's like, I think if that air slash hit, like, I think Lottie just takes it, because Luster Purge would have killed the Hydrapple at that range, because that Luster Purge did so much damage. And yeah, so kind of unfortunate game. I think C3 definitely a little bit luckier there. But again, like the crit, you know, and I think Owen played that very poorly. But I don't think C3 necessarily played poorly. I think the prep was just a little off. And I know he was saying, he's like, I'm not going to show the sets because it was like, it was suboptimal. I don't really, like, again, that's fine. Like, like, Owen is what? Like, I think Owen is now 0-7, so, like, it's not like you're trying to save sets for anything. I know your sets, man. Like, your Black Sludge Wheezing, I could probably do the calcs, but it's fine. I think the main thing was just not being, like, having a way to naturally outspeed Lottie is the main thing that I was like, yeah, I don't love that. And I understand getting, like, spooked by Rotom, and yeah, I think not having rocks versus this team definitely cost him a little bit, because, like, stuff like Blaziken getting chipped down, if he had SD'd on that switch to Weezing, which again is a tough play to make, but, like, very, very reasonable play, for you know, very reasonable play, like, the game would have been over. It would have been Swords Dance, Flare Blitz, and then, yeah, like, even if randomly Hydrapple lives, which I don't think it does based on that Luster Purge jam, it's probably just, like, max HP, max special attack or something. Maybe even speed for stuff like his Toxapex. Like, that it looked very, very, like, offensive and not very bulk invested. So, yeah, tough game to lose for Owen. Very, very close. Definitely a game that I think C3 has verbally said is not his proudest game. But again, I think it kind of just like a fluke. I mean, Owen's team is actually very annoying. Like, I think despite his record, like, his team is very good. I think it just kind of takes putting those pieces together. So I really hope he gets a win in one of these last 3 weeks. I think he definitely can pull it out. So if you're watching this, good luck. And yeah, we'll move on to the next game, which is the boy Ionite of the Undead Legion versus BSC, our first week opponent, Air. So Air's team is very, very bulky, and I would say it's a tough matchup, but I don't think it's unwinnable, right? Like, You have Eel, which can definitely break through stuff. And Tinglu's going to be kind of an annoying Pokemon, but with knockoff and like just like removing items versus this team is just really, really tough for Air, right? Knocking off Corv and just like getting just some mileage for stuff like Ting and you turning around. Like his team is very slow, so like something like a Pivot Electros just goes absolutely crazy. Granted, you know, Coil also can be decent, but I think a Pivot would have been better here because you can like Thunder Punch some of the Corv, and honestly, I would have rather seen something like a Thunderbolt, like Thunderbolt knock, like a mix set Thunderbolt knockoff U-turn, and then maybe like last move, maybe just like Drain Punch for Tinglu or like something, maybe Toxic for Tinglu I think would have been good. Just something to like to click on the expected Tinglu switch, right? Because Corviknight's in, right? Like I guess Bronzong could also switch in, but you know, it doesn't want to remove its item. Something like Granbull could come in. And Thunderbolt prevents both Intimidate. It allows you to get Corv. I say all this. I helped Ironite prep a little bit. So again, these are all things I could have suggested. You know, kind of just like looking on paper. I think a mixed Electros makes better. He ended up running a Coil set, which I think is fine. But yeah, I think Spadef Electros is really solid here because it can take hits from Dragapult. And yeah. Stuff like Greninja, I feel like is also kind of annoying for this team because it like Dragapult and Greninja both outspeed his entire team naturally. Something like a Scarf or Shifu is very good here, but also like does struggle if he ends up bringing Rocky Helmet Corv. But again, if you can knock off the Corv's Rocky Helmet, it's in a really good spot, and I think Drapion is a really solid Pokemon to do that. So the thing with Drapion is like it obviously gets hardwalled by Corv, but like you definitely can make a set for it. Now, we're kind of tinkering with some like rest sets. I think honestly, in retrospect, I think the best set is probably like Knock, Toxic. I think is fine for Tinglu, and then you can either run Taunt for Corviknight, and then like the last move probably something like either SD. I think maybe like Stall Breaking. I don't know, because like Brave Bird is always going to be kind of doing a lot, and kind of the idea that I had with Garchomp, where it was like I ran SD, Spikes, Fire Fang, Earthquake. Like Fire Fang, Earthquake hit the entirety of his team, and the only way he could really beat that was Whirlwinding it with Tinglu, and I could pretty much break through the rest of his team with that. Like Corviknight can't stay in and just like click Brave Bird because rough skin. Darmanitan like it was a defensive SD set, which is really, really awesome. Obviously, Drapion can't do the same thing, but I think Dark versus his team is just so good. So he's relying on something like Granbull. So I think Taunt is fine to kind of like keep Corv low, which allows something like Urshifu to kind of to go crazy in the late game. Because if you keep Corv low, then what's switching into Surging Strikes, right? Like I mean, you have Granbull maybe, but like unless it's Rocky Helmet, then it's not really like this. Is actually a really good matchup for Cottony, ironically enough. So I could definitely see Cottony coming in this matchup. He doesn't end up bringing Cottony, but I was really hoping he would, because something like Stun Spore, Encore, Moonblast, like it resists Urshifu's dual stab. Obviously, you know, Ninetales is annoying for it, but like maybe there's some other tech that I'm not seeing. So Ignite's gonna bring Donphan and Ninetales out of the other Pokemon I didn't mention, and what's it called? Air's not going to bring Darmanitan, or he's not going to bring, which makes sense because he has a Urshifu that's faster. So, and he ends up bringing Bronzong and Granbull. Granbull makes a lot of sense because it's a pretty good, like, decent check for fighting types. Secondary check, so he doesn't have to rely on Dragapult switching into close combats. And yeah, Bronzong as well, which I think has pretty solid matchup as well, outside of being weak to Spectre Air, but I think that's fine. I don't love I think Spectre is good. So he's got to really play Ting well to be able to win this game. And Ting is a very great Pokemon in this matchup. So I think Ignite's got to play very aggressive. Like that's how you kind of got to play bulky. He's got to play aggressive, just like click buttons, and like because none of his Pokemon outside of Corviknight can really get reliable recovery. So if you can knock the Tinglu, if you can knock the Bronzong, you're in a really, really good spot, because these Pokemon are like relying on their item or like knock Granbull. So leading Drapion is, I think, what what's it called? Ignite ends up doing. Very, very, very likely should have just knocked here. I get that like Greninja can do stuff, but he was a Resto Chesto set, so like even just getting off any damage on this Greninja is so valuable, because if you can get up rocks, like that's so great. You know, would he stay in? Like likely, but like I think U-turn is a lot. It's just so safe, right? Because like Corviknight's just such a good check to Drapion. Like maybe he doesn't want to get it knocked. I understand that. But you should live 2 of any Greninja hit here, even if it's like physical randomly. So you can knock off pretty freely here. If he was like randomly SD, that'd be interesting. But again, you do have a Scarf or Shifu, so he ends up going for a Toxic, which loses a lot of momentum here, right? Like I think going for knock was better there. And then we kind of talked about it just in like private messaging, but like the reason why I think knocking there was much better is like, oh, like obviously, you know, Greninja's not weak to dark type moves, right? But you know, he's not taking a lot of damage because he's a Mega Stone. But say you're Drapion in this position, you have this Corviknight knocked. Now at this point, Drapion's done his job, right? Now you can switch out with Drapion at 73%. You can go something like Electros, and yeah, it can U-turn on you, but like, what is revenge killing Electros? Like nothing can do solid damage to Electros other than like maybe like Bronzong goes to just like rocks you or like toxics you. Like that's probably the best thing that I could see there. And he was running a really cool Ninetales set that I suggested to run, which I think put some interesting stuff in there. And oh my gosh, what is this? Why do we? I mean, this one it never has ads, so I'm just gonna go to this one. This is the ad video. So yeah, in this position, if Corviknight's like now you have to stay in another turn to knock off a Rocky Helmet. Granted, you're what like 50 instead of that. But at this point, then like you don't have to. I mean, I guess it's a similar exchange, right? Because you knock off the helmet, now you're at 50. I think he's much more likely to U-turn there, and then you can possibly just knock him again just to get damage, and then you like to either take the Brave Bird and then go from there. I don't know. So he's gonna rest here, as I believe Corviknight just goes for a U-turn, which is pretty free. I understand. Oh no, he goes for Roost. Okay, so he goes for Roost. Now he's pretty much a free U-turn. So he's gonna taunt here. And like I said, yeah, free U-turn there. So I think again, taunt is, you have to understand the position that you're in, right? Like going for taunt there is not a solid, like going for taunt there doesn't make a ton of sense because you're at full HP, he's at full HP. He gains nothing by taunting. I guess he could like just Brave Bird you, but like then you're still losing time. So like you either switch into something like Electros on the U-turn, and again, like I said, like he has to go into something like Greninja to get like damage off on you, or like tries to set up his stuff. Granted, he doesn't have a good switch into Drapion, so I can understand just staying in and taunting is fine. But now he brings in Grand Bull. But the thing also, again, and this is my thing about taunt, is like you revealed that you had taunt. So now he can pretty freely go in Grand Bull, which can just Earthquake you. Otherwise, he'd be like, okay, well, like I can go Grand Bull, but like he's going to take a ton of damage from Poison Jab. So maybe you should have been running Poison Jab over taunt. Again, it was a hard thing to kind of go back and forth. It was supposed to be Acupressure, but I guess Acupressure is banned. And yeah, so it is what it is. But anyway, yeah, so like you're revealing information. So that's another thing. You gotta be really careful about revealing information in this case. So kind of a tough opening few turns for Inet, but I definitely think he can turn it back around. He ends up going for Toxic there. So good play in air for just like predicting that. I think Toxic is like a solid play there. I think that's fine. Goes for Brave Bird on his Rocky Helmet Donphan, which again is very solid. So you're getting some good damage off in there. Maybe going for Taunt there would have been okay, because then it's like, okay, I mean, you're taking damage. So again, but he gets up rocks. And now Inet's making some really solid plays because he's like, okay, let me eat up my rocks. Let me knock. Like these are things you should be doing to get like mileage and potentially win the game. I think not going Eel is fine, but like I think playing more aggressive with Eel was what I would have done, right? Like especially on this turn, right? I get that you want to rest. I think that makes sense, right? Like you rest, right, and then go Eel. Like you go Eel here. Don't taunt. Like you're like, what is he gonna do? Iron Defense? Like he does not body press. You know that he's Roost and Brave Bird. I guess he could have been like bulk up, maybe, but you know he's probably U-turn. So either go something like Electros if you ran, or Donphan, like you already like basically made that play later. So going Donphan is fine if you want to like get some chip on this thing. You know he's gonna go for U-turn. So I don't think going for taunt there was ever the play, in my opinion, right? I know Inet's gonna come in and be like, oh, this is why I went for taunt. I understand, but know that Corviknight was likely gonna U-turn. What can I do? Go Donphan. You can go Electros even if he U-turns. What does he do after that? He goes Greninja and U-turns again, and now you're getting some good damage off and stuff. So okay, so he goes Grand Bull. Yeah, make some solid. So now we're back in the driver's seat a little bit. We're gonna knock off. He knocks off like a sea berry. So really really great for Bronx. He ends up being Iron Defense, which is kind of fine actually. Like this thing is rest. Like he used Kasib, so you know he's probably is he like rest, like he can't be body press and that. So he's probably like Rocks Iron Defense, maybe just to like. I actually don't love Iron Defense. I guess it's nice for like Coil Electros, but like. I don't know, like it feels a little like you have crit machine with Urshifu, so I don't love that there. But he goes for Veil, and at this point, what would I have done? I would have probably switched into Donphan and try to Rapid Spin, but I understand. Okay, so he's gonna Moonblast here, right? And this thing Heavy Slams, right? So you know this thing's probably got Heavy Slam. Even if he's going for like spikes or something, then like Donphan can get in. So it ends up going for Pain Split, which is like really funny. So it's a great set on Ninetales, right? Like, you're actually okay with letting this thing take damage, right? You're like yeah, let me get to low health, and you know this thing has outspeeding the majority of his team, and then I can just Pain Split up later, and then with a Veil up, I'm taking no damage. So now this thing's at 65%, which is really really nice for stuff like Spectre in the late game. So now Bronzong comes out. At this point, I think Pain Split was a little bit. At this point, you should probably switch, right? Like, you know that you're either gonna... I think he was probably gonna... He might have died to that next... Because where were you at? Yeah, you're at 34. It would have been close. It would have been close. So you might have actually even died to that. You're actually okay with, like, letting Ninetales be at, like, 10%, and then you just, like, Pain Split off versus something like a Corviknight. Because it likely doesn't have... like, it probably is Defog, I would want to say. Maybe he has Iron Head for something like Ninetales, but with a Veil up, you probably live that, and you can just like Pain Split because versus something like Ting-Lu. I don't know. It's hard because you gotta have to have Veil up to do it, but you can definitely get a solid amount of damage off on something. But he goes for Moonblast, or no, he goes for Pain Split. Sorry. Yeah. So this is what I'm talking about, like going for more aggressive plays, like going hard into like because Ting-Lu's out, right? Like you could have gone into Electros, and Electros would have been like, okay, now I'm just gonna like Thunder Punch you twice and do some solid damage, right? Or go something like Donphan to go for a spin. But now you have to spend another turn switching into something like Donphan, where you would have been in a much better position. But Heavy Slam gets to play right, goes for Heavy Slam, so now you're getting some good chip on this Bronzong. But you know can kind of just go to Corv. Knock out the helmet is great because now you're not taking chip from that. Now he goes hard Electros, which is good, right? Gets rid of Veil and Rocks, but now you're in a very solid position, right? If you were U-turn, would have really good here, but it's okay. Very likely going to go into something like Grand Bull here. Yeah, he ends up going Grand Bull. Going for U-turn would have been solid, or even T-Bolt. T-Bolt with U-turn was fine. But he ends up going for Coil. Ends up going for Roar. I think the second Coil was a little bit greedy. You already have +1, and this Grand Bull can do a lot of stuff. And I think I understand going for a second one to be able to like live hits from stuff like Physical Greninja, but like I don't know. I think just going raw for like the Supercell Slam or something would have been, or like T-Punch, sorry, would have been a lot better. So he ends up going for the second one and ends up getting roared out. And you're going to see that like damage is going to be really, really crucial to something like Spectre not being able to pull it off in the late game. So Corviknight's able to go for Roost here. He actually doesn't have Earthquake. He has Ice Shard, which I think is fine on paper, but I think in retrospect, maybe I should have recommended running Earthquake because it basically prevents Corviknight from ever like roosting, right? Like you either have to U-turn and take Rocky Helmet chip. He doesn't have great knockers on this team. I don't think, Greninja, like nothing gets knocked. So like this thing is going to take chip. So he roosts and he takes like, basically he's never going to get past like 50% with this Corviknight. Maybe it does like 40, I don't know. And you're going to take chip with Helmet. So you either stay into Brave Bird or you get Earthquake, or like, I guess stay into Defog. And I guess I don't know who wins the Defog versus, exchange, but anyway, it goes back into Electros. Good play. And at this point, I think he's gonna I think he gets a crit T-Punch. So he gets a crit T-Punch and Para, which really really sucks for air. And you're gonna kind of see why. I think this is like, because that would have done what, like 20%. But he both gets crit, which goes through Intimidate and gets a Para, which makes this Grand Bull very very volatile. So at this point, does he go for T-Punch again? No, he goes into Ninetales. He ends up being Heal Bell, so he basically has to waste a turn Heal Belling instead of just raw play roughing. So that sucks. But again, he's getting health back. And like I said, if you'd gone for Teach Punch before, would have done 30, you know, you crit with that one. Now you're in a point where you can just T-Punch again. He probably has to go hard into Ting Lu. And it's like, okay, are you going to take, you know, get knocked? Are you going to get Drain Punch? Like, you can't really do anything back. He needs to kind of like play around that. So I think that's a really, really tough, like in hindsight, you're like, oh, like it's fine, right? Like you're still kind of making progress. But I think overall, it's a tough situation, right? So he goes for Pain Split again versus Grand Bull, which I get like maybe like Corviknights are really like makes sense, but I think just going for Veil there is fine, right? Like Veil doesn't really do anything. If he goes Corv, like you just go hard into Electros, right? So I think not going for Veil there. I think this is more just so like he probably was unfamiliar with Pain Split and it was just kind of like, ooh, this is a great move to click, and it is, but you have to know when to click it, right? So Pain Split, in my opinion, was never the play there. Like you get some health back, but like you're not dying to anything that Grand Bull does if you Aurora Veil, and you have Veil up now for 8 turns. And now you're inverse Bronzong, you're giving it health, which otherwise it would have been in a much better spot. And it actually doesn't die to 2 Moonblast because of that Pain Split turn. So anyway, gets a good play on the Heavy Slam. He's just trying to kill this thing. And then he goes for a Drain Punch. Again, another misplay because this Corviknight would have taken a lot more from Surging Strikes, which would have definitely forced it to roost, which basically gives you either free switching Electros, which is what I would have done. And if he doesn't roost, then now your Corviknight is extremely low and it's in a really bad spot. So turns like this, right? Like you're gotta chip it down and you're going for Drain Punch, which I don't think is ever the play because he has no good water resist on this team. And I think he was like, oh, I was worried about Dragapult. You knew that Grand Bull was leftovers. Is he going to be Rocky Helmet Dragapult? Maybe. If he is, awesome, because that means he's not Scarf, he's not any bullcrap. Like he's not Dragon Dance, like, or maybe he's Dragon Dance, but Rocky Helmet is like kind of meh here. Like I guess it's fine, right? Like I would have think Colbur or something. I don't know, but yeah, I don't think Rocky Helmet Dragapult is coming. Now, again, if he makes a hard switching Greninja, he's probably taken like 60%, to be perfectly frank with you. Probably more like 45. You can check the calcs on that. I'm doing this completely on the fly. But going for Drain Punch is never the play there. Surging Strike says what? Essentially, he's gonna be at like 40% instead of whatever this is. Or not 40, he's probably gonna be at like 50%, because it probably does like 40% to Corv. Which would have done Roost, because he's like, okay, I have to Roost here. And now you go Electros, and now you're in a great spot, because now what does he do? He goes Ting Lu, he has to go like Grand Bull, you can Coil and go for Thunder Punch. So now, and not only are you not getting damage, you're now getting momentum. So I think either U-turn or Surging Strikes is the best play there. I would have Surging Strikes. Okay, so he goes to Electros, and now he gets a free U-turn. So it's like, oh, now you're losing momentum. And now you can go hard Grand Bull, get a thing off, and now you're going to just basically take... you're going to take damage on this stuff. And he misses a Play Rough. So, again, like, you're getting... I'm sorry. Very, like, unlucky, and still in a position where it's like, I'm still not loving this, right? Great that he knocks off the leftovers and gets a free turn there. I don't know if Play Rough kills here. Probably not. But at this point, Veil. Veil. Please Veil. Thank you. And at this point... Like, so now you had to make that switch into Ninetales. I think going Donphan would have been better. You already knocked the leftovers because you got the miss on there. So you could pretty freely go Donphan. Like, Donphan doesn't need to be healthy in this game. Like, it just gets Rocky Helmet chip. So I think, yeah, like, you want to get your Veil up, but I don't think it's the time, right? You want to keep Ninetales outside of Rock's range for this exact reason. And you can like, Donphan is great because it's like, yeah, he goes Corviknight, but you can always make the play to go hard back into Electros. Like, so I think a little bit of prep and error, and then like the play I think could have been improved, right? I'm trying to point out the specific points for reference, right? So he goes for Moonbats, gets a crit, and might I add you, if he didn't go for Pain Split, that would have put him in range of another Moonblast. I think actually might have probably killed with 2, right? Because that would have really done like what, 12%? Or 12, 11? It would have been a roll. But he gets rocked up, so now he basically has to get another crit. But yeah, it's like, if you didn't Pain Split there, if you just failed. And not only that, you would have taken less damage on your other guys. So, not that it really mattered because, but you would have had Veil earlier, which meant you could have taken that hit from Play Rough a little bit better. So now Ninetales is going to go down. Oh no, oh sad. I think I actually would have saved that. I would have saved that Ninetales, because what does this Donphan do? Or what does this Bronzong do? You do that and you Rapid Spin. And you have Veil up, so it's like is Dragapult going to kill you? Maybe. I don't know the calcs, but like it's probably a roll, and then you can Ice Shard it. You can go like I don't know. So I would have even saved Ninetales there. Because what is this Bronzong doing? You use Rapid Spin. So now you Rapid Spin here. Great, like cool. But now you're in a tough position, because now you just U-turns, right? Or you Roost, right? Or Defogs. So that's fine. Ends up going Grand Bull. Does he go for hard T-Punch, or does he go for Coil? He goes for T-Punch. It does not to a KO. Goes for that again. And this, so yeah, like you had a very easy switch into Donphan. Donphan's not taking much from this Grand Bull. Again, doesn't need to be healthy, like we mentioned earlier, right? Like it just needs to be able to do that and spin and give chip to Corviknight and stuff. But staying in with this thing, and he goes for Drain Punch, and now this Grand Bull doesn't kill, and now your Electros is at too low of an HP to actually deal with Corviknight. So now you're in a really tough position, right? So gets the Elevate boost, awesome. Goes for Ninja, very, very free U-turn, and at this point, it's kind of just like over, because like he kind of just pivots around the team. Goes to Dragapult. Ice Spinner probably shouldn't kill, so I think I would just go U-turn here into something like either Drapion. I would go U-turn into Drapion, because you know this thing is Spadef, and if he is, like, you don't have Heal Bell and Ninetales anymore, but you can go U-turn into Drapion if he goes for anything other than Draco. If he goes for Draco, that's kind of okay, because, like, you can probably just get a Calm Mind up and maybe do some stuff with Spectrier in the late game. But you, like, basically confirming this thing is Scarf or not, right? Going for U-turn essentially means that your Shifu's still around to check both this and Greninja. Now, if it's Scarf, right? But, like, you know that our Shifu in this endgame is so good because it can at least do, like, some stuff to Corviknight. Like, Corviknight can no longer switch into this thing, right? And if he randomly is, like, tries to stay in, I don't know. But Electros is basically dead meat, so you can U-turn, yeah, so obviously you like it for Corv, but goes for Ice Spinner instead, and it doesn't kill, and he dies to Thunderbolt. So unfortunate series of turns. Now he goes Donphan, which is fine. Going what's it called? Going Ice Shard, like, that's not the play, because you know he's Specs. He's very likely Specs. So like he's never gonna stay in there. And what's coming in? Corviknight. So you should have maybe made the double into Electros. Because like either he makes a double into something that's not Corviknight, into something like does he go? He doesn't ever go hard Greninja there, right? Because like he knows that you could just go for like something like Earthquake or something. So it's either Corviknight or he sacked off Bronzong. I would have sacked off. Would I have sacked off Bronzong? Maybe not. But going Electros basically covers all those plays, right? Granted, he gets momentum after, but like it basically forces Corviknight out again. So at very least should have gone for Rock so that you can maybe get in Electros after. But going for Ice Shard was like, in my opinion, never the play, because like he's never staying in there with Dragapult to just like let it die, right? Like he wants to have that around to just like do massive damage, stuff like Drapion and like Spectre if it's not Scarf. So gets a free Roost, awesome. So now you can just go Bronzong now and get the sack it off. So saving that sack, very good. And now you can just kind of like Greninja doing some stuff. I would have probably gone Donphan there. Like I know it's kind of a crazy play, but like you know that he's just very free U-turn. And get some chip on this thing, right? Like put it in the range of Spectrier. But no, I think sacking is fine. But at least you have a way to like deal with Corviknight. Now you're basically relying on Spectrier. So U-turns out into Corviknight. Can't do anything with this Drapion, so we're in a really tough spot. He taunts. Yeah, too little, too late. But at least at this point he can't recover with this Corviknight. So now he's gonna just U-turn because it's like, okay, well, I'll get my damage off. So good play to get some chip. And so now this Corviknight's low, and it's like, okay, now Greninja's there. Get some chip off there. Okay, solid. But now you just go to Corviknight again, and he gets his Roost back. So it's like, oh, tough series of turns. But makes a good call on like the hard Spectre double because he knows he's gonna Roost. Misses Willow. And get crit Brave Bird. So that's going to kind of seal the game. I don't think that this game was still winnable at this point because Tinglu is still high. Spectre does some crazy shit. But, yeah, I don't think you were ever... Because I would have done what? Like, so it did, with a crit, like 70. So it would have done like 44 without it. So it would have done like 20 to 24 with Burn, which would have been pretty, like, enough to, like, with Calm Mind. Okay, now I'm Calm Minding up, and we can maybe get some stuff going with, like, maybe outpace Draining Kiss or something. You weren't Leftovers, though, so I think he was he Colbur? Maybe. I don't know. But, like, Air basically had to, like, it's still very winnable from that matchup, that point, but, yeah, at this point, it's basically sealed. So now you can kind of just clean up the game, just kind of roost stall with Corviknight, and he can't break it, yeah. So, very unfortunate way to go out. I think relying on that Will-O-Wisp, it's unfortunate, but again, I think there was a lot of misplays in there anyway that maybe could have made this game a lot more winnable. Sacking Electros, not going for Surging Strikes with their Shifu, not saving Ninetales, going for Pain Split on that turn. Like, this is a very, very winnable game, so I'm not saying, like, I think it seems on paper, oh, like, I'm not going to win. You definitely could have won. So, I think the prep was, like, fine. I think Ice Shard was, like, over Earthquake definitely made Corviknight a lot more annoying. So, knowing that, I think you have to kind of leverage your attack a little bit more, like, kind of really try to get damage on it, no matter what. Yeah, it is what it is. Tough loss, but I think hopefully with the future, it just kind of comes down to making some solid plays. Okay, so moving on to my game, Chicago Bewares versus the Tampa Bay Lightning Rods. Very interesting matchup. So thing is, Delphox can run Modest this game because his fastest Pokemon is Serp. So if a Pokemon is slower than 369 max speed, we can run Modest. The thing is, I don't necessarily need all my special attack to be effective here, right? I really like Lead Delphox here, so that's actually gonna be my game plan. You can see Bruxish there too. We're bringing some fun sets here. I'm kind of annoyed, like, Nidoqueen is kind of tough for me to deal with off, like, defensively. Like, pretty much everything on my team, other than, like, maybe Slitherwing, can, like, can't really take it on. I was kind of, like, debating, like, okay, maybe I run, like, more defensive Bisharp or something like that. But overall, I think, like, my best way of beating it is just, like, lead Ninetales, or, yeah, sorry, stop in the different kind of Fox. Lead Delphox and, like, substitute, and then just, like, click buttons. Because, like, if you try to, like, okay, he's, like, I'm just gonna try to, like, do something versus it. I don't know, maybe be, like, Rock Slide or something. But Nidoqueen, depending on its set, might die to, Psychic. So, like, unless he's very bulky. Which he could be. Maybe he's, like, bulky defensive with, like, Rock Slide, enough, like a Spadef. I think even if he's max HP, with, like, enough attack to kill Delph, like, even through, what's it called? Its attack is higher than special attack, so I don't know what the calcs are, but I still think through that exchange it'd be a tough thing to get out with Delphox alive, or with Nidoqueen alive, which is great, because if we can get rid of Nidoqueen, or at least very put it in range of, like, just any attack, that's great, because it makes Pheasantipity's job a lot easier. So my game plan in this game is essentially leading off with our Delphox, which is a subset, because with this amount of HP, which, by the way, like, bulky Delphox has just been so awesome. Enough speed for Serp. This special attack was kind of just, like, enough HP to live a Scarf Crunch from Hydreigon. I feel like if he does run Hydreigon, he might want to wait to just guaranteed Oko, because Dark Pulse doesn't guaranteed Oko Delphox, right? So having a way to do that is really nice. So I figured, okay, if he's running physical, then I want to wait to just live Crunch. So if he leads Hydreigon, he's like, oh, awesome, Scarf Delphox, or like Delphox, we always kill this with, like, Crunch. If he's, like, just max HP, max speed, or max special attack, max speed, boom, knock the thing out with Dazzle Gleam. So most times I'm clicking sub turn 1, because for the most part, like, nothing can, like, there's a lot of Pokemon, stuff like Nidoqueen doesn't really want to stay in versus Delphox. Rotom doesn't want to stay with Delphox, and what's awesome, or Tapu Lele doesn't want to stay with Delphox, so you might want to just click Shadow Ball. But we should be able to live even, like, a Spec Shadow Ball after a sub, and then we can just, like, Flamethrower twice if he wants to, like, stay in and do that stuff. So if he wants to bring Seismitoad, I'm actually very worried about Drifblim. Drifblim actually is, like, really good matchup in this game, so we have to be kind of cautious about that. But what's awesome is that Rotom, like, unless he's running, like, Foul Play, which is possible because of Garchomp, I don't think even Foul Play is, like, guaranteed to break my sub, but I know for a fact that Volt Switch doesn't break unless he's very offensive, like max special attack, like Modest, I think is a chance to break sub. But otherwise it doesn't break sub, and, like, we get a free sub versus Rotom, and, like, he can't break it, and we get a free click versus something like anything else on his team. So really solid there. We get Flamethrower, we get Dazzling Gleam, we get Psychic, and it basically hits the rest of his team. And this HP is very, very nice. Our win con is going to be Garchomp. Stone Edge is there for Rotom and Drifblim. Otherwise, Earthquake, Scale Shot kind of just rips his team apart. And Swords Dance is solid. We outspeed two of his biggest threats, being Tapu Lele and Hydreigon, which is really awesome. And yeah, likely one of them or both of them are Scarf, but I think if we can get a Scale Shot, I think obviously Lele doesn't love to switch in. So if he has to make the really ballsy play to switch in hard on a Scale Shot, I understand. And if we can maybe be in position where we might not even need to click that, maybe we click Edge or like Earthquake, and he has to be Scarfed to outspeed us anyway. So it's like maybe didn't get the speed boost, but then you gotta like play some games with Hydreigon and into Pheasantipity. Moving on, we have Terapagos. What I like about this is a great stopgap for stuff like Mega Gallade with SD. If that thing gets out of hand, and we can roar that out, or something like maybe Rotom, or just anything really. Like Roar is just great because we can just kind of get him out there. And it's really nice because we are actually running spikes on our Ogerpon. The speed is there for Nidoqueen. Terrastar Storm basically hits his whole team outside of Melmetal, and and again Drifblim, and that's also why I'm running Roar, because if he runs like Calm Mind Drifblim, that could be really annoying here. So I want a way to just kind of like stop that just in its tracks. Was thinking Calm Mind too, but I'm like, is Calm Mind the best way to win here? I don't know. Like definitely solid. Like I was thinking Calm Mind, but I don't think I beat Drifblim 1v1 unless we get kind of lucky with like burns and stuff. But then again, I guess he can like String Sap, but he can't really like get HP back. So I'm a little scared about Drifblim, but I'm also like, like if we Calm Mind, like we probably beat that 1v1, right? So Flamethrower is good though, because it actually can hit Drifblim on like Earth Power, even though Earth Power is like a little bit better into stuff like Nidoqueen, but like not by much. Like Flamethrower basically hits the same stuff. Like everything Terrastar Storm hits is nice, and we also can hit Hydreigon for damage if he wants to like stay in randomly. But I ended up going with Roar for that, and like also like Serp randomly if we like can't kill it with Flamethrower, we gotta like get it out to deal with that. But also if I'm like why, like it would only be like Scarf Serp. If he's like Scarf Serp with like a bunch of Leaf Storms off, then we might have to Roar. But otherwise, I can just like Rapid Spin and then be faster than it. So Ogerpon Wellspring, Low Kick, Trailblaze, Ivy Cudgel, and Spikes, pretty solid here. We're able to pretty freely just like, it is bad versus, what's it called, Superior. So we don't really have a great click versus that. So maybe something like U-Turn was something I was debating over Trailblaze, but I really like Trailblaze because of the fact that it allows us to actually beat something like Gallade. Like if we can get Serp chipped with stuff like everything on our team just kind of chips Serp. So we can like U-turn around with it. Like we can just kind of put it in Low Kick or Ivy Cudgel range. It's not like amazing, and I feel like this kind of gets walled by Serp, but it's kind of fine. We can also maybe get like Taunt or something, but I felt like this set was solid. Like I wanted a way to offensively deal with both Rotom Heat and Nidoqueen, which like otherwise would kind of like, I was debating Bisharp, which is better versus Serp, but at the same time like also struggles into Nidoqueen, struggles into like Rotom Heat, so, and obviously struggles into like specifically is Mega Gallade. And I like the fact that Ogerpon can, number one, so this lives actually a CC with this amount of HP and defense. We always live CC before rocks, of course, so we have to get rocks out the field for that, but it's great because we can live a CC, and no matter if we go first or second, Trailblaze into Ivy Cudgel with this attack investment will always 2 KO, or like Trailblaze and Ivy Cudgel always kills Gallade. And what's awesome about that is if we can get Serp chipped, then this basically kind of just goes in, because like he doesn't really have a great Cudgel switch in other than that, and Low Kick is there for Melmetal because I wanted a way to just like chunk Melmetal, because if he isn't rest, we just basically can chunk that, and then Pheasantipity's in a great spot, which is running Scarf this week, which is really hard to run, but it's a great speed tier for both his Hydreigon and his his Hydreigon, his Gallade, his Superior, and his Tapu Lele, all of which we can OHKO or get close to OHKOing with Play Rough and Gunk Shot. So Gunk Shot is obviously there for Serp and Lele. I would love to run Poison Jab, but neither of which guarantee kill on either of those, so I kind of have to run Gunk Shot. Hopefully we can get a Spike Up or just U-turn around before that happens. But likely, I'm probably just going to be clicking U-turn until Metal is weak enough where we can like kind of just like afford to click something like Gunshot and be like, okay, well, you're going to die. So Beat Up is there for Drifblim because I want a way to basically kind of put it on a timer and like basically so that thing can never beat us with Calm Mind. And there really wasn't a great like fourth. I guess I can run like Heat Wave or something for like a click into Melmetal, but like Beat Up does a solid amount of damage with our, because we're physically invested. Like Beat Up does like 85 damage about with our attack investment on our team. So we can kind of reliably do with that. And then Play Rough does like 86 to 100 something to Gallade. So if we get some chip off with Cofagrigus, which is Rocky Helmet this week, then we can really be putting some work in. So what's really unfortunate about Cofagrigus is that it's actually not really a great Melmetal check. Melmetal still does massive damage to us. If he's banded, I think we can live 3. So we should be able to get at least 4 things off. But I think more realistically, if he sees Helmet and he goes for banded Double Iron Bash, I think he probably is like, ooh, let me preserve this Melmetal HP so that I don't lose to something like Pheasantipity. But what's great is that if he does do that, then honestly this is fine. Like, I'm okay into Gallade otherwise. Like, I still have Delphox, hopefully. I have a stopgap in Terapagos. I have a way to outspeed it in Pheasantipity and another way to possibly outspeed into a KO it with Ogerpon. So I'm not like too worried about it. I just have to be careful about like rest roll. So we're running rest actually just to like get more like, if he tries to save Melmetal and he like switches out, we just get rest off and then we just like can come in later and just like get just Rocky Helmet moves. So, and if he like tries to go for like a non-contact like Toxic or something, this is great for like Toxic sets of Melmetal to like be able to wear down Cofagrigus if he doesn't want to like take chip from Double Iron Bash, if he's like randomly Toxic from stuff like Rotom. Like Rotom is actually very annoying with like T-Wave and Willow this game, so I just wanted a Pokemon that could like kind of sponge both of those and then like just like rest it off. So kind of a good way to like be able to sponge what's it called, statuses, because like obviously Garchomp is a solid switch into Rotom Heat unless he Willows, so like just having a way to kind of like mid ground there. I was running like Trick Room and another move there, like Trick Room and Pain Split, but I felt like Pain Split kind of was antithetical to the fact that I'm running Helmet that's going to chip down Melmetal. So yeah, Rocky Helmet is solid here though. Okay, so getting to the actual match, he basically brings exactly what I expect, except he doesn't bring Nidoqueen, which is great. Kind of like makes sense in hindsight, right? Like I feel like Nidoqueen is, you'd probably bring either something like Nidoqueen or Rotom Heat, but I feel like Rotom Heat's a more sturdy check to stuff like able to take more hits from stuff. So yeah, makes sense. Like this is probably his best 6. I think Drifblim or something else maybe could have been slotted. I think honestly Lele is like decent, but like I feel like maybe like, oh, you know what, I'm fine. I'm just gonna actually slot in Lele, but our Psychic Resist kind of sucks, so makes sense. Okay, so I'm gonna go with my game plan here. I'm just gonna lead off with Delphox and just start clicking buttons. So I'm like kind of like a little scared of this Melmetal, but I'm like, you know what, if he tries to like Thunder Wave me, if he's like Akka Thunder Wave, or like he just goes for like Akka and Rock Slide, that's fine. I'm gonna sub here, and should be in a good spot, right? Like, because if he's expecting like Flamethrower here, that's gonna be in a great position, right? So I'm gonna sub here. I really thought that he would U-turn here because I thought, hey, like your Hydreigon's pretty important to you, and you know that I'm probably running Dazzling Gleam here, so I feel like I would run U-turn. And if he's U-turn and he's like max physical invested, it can possibly break sub. If he doesn't, that's fine. You go to something like Rotom, then you just Volt Switch out there, and yeah, you take chip, but it's like, okay, maybe you can Pain Split that off versus something like Cofagrigus later. I didn't think he would just like raw Dark Pulse, so I was like, you know what? Didn't want to like get no damage off on the off chance he did stay in here, so I wanted to like kind of get something out of this. I was like, maybe he'll go like U-turn into Lele, expecting like Gleam, like because like it's kind of a solid mid ground, right? Like if he, you know, I obviously can't Volt Switch after, so I think Rotom is like the best play. So you might be thinking, oh, why didn't you just Psychic here? But again, like in the off chance he stayed in, right? Or maybe he goes Melmetal and then like U-turns into Melmetal to take that, and then he goes into something like Hydreigon after, so like trying to like play around it. But he just goes raw Dark Pulse, so I could have just killed this Hydreigon, which really sucks, because like Hydreigon basically is like his way of like beating my team, because it outspeeds Garchomp, it outspeeds Ogerpon, and it's really annoying for this team. So at the very least we get damage off, so like I didn't like completely flop by just going clicking Psychic. We actually live another Dark Pulse from Delphox, so that's like a pretty solid thing. But he's obviously Scarf here, so that's good information at the very least. Now we can go for U-turn. As he goes hard Lele, which is very interesting. I actually like, I feel like Melmetal makes a lot of sense there, and potentially getting this thing Toxic is like not great. actually would have been really, really nice, because if he was toxic, then we wouldn't have had to make a certain, or had to rely on something later. So it doesn't get toxic proc, but this is a very, very free Delphox at this point, and I can just go for, I was going to go sub again, but I'm like, if he's Shadow Ball and he's just like Shadow Balls, like I actually live a Shadow Ball, so I was like, you know what, if he spec Shadow Ball, I live that, and I can just go for Flamethrower and then just like put this thing in range, and then like if he wants to go High Dragon after, that's not great. So, so he ends up going Hydra. I very easily could have gone Pheasantipity, but I'm like, you know, he's very, very likely going to just click U-turn here. Obviously, I don't, like, if he does get that play wrong, we just kill this thing. So he ends up going for U-turn. As I just go for sub. I'm just going to go for sub here. Oh, no, I go for D-Gleam. Because I'm like, okay, if he Dark Pulses here, then I just kill it. But at this point, this is great, because he goes in Rotom, and we can just sub again, and it's like, oh, awesome. So now you're going to not break our sub. And he goes Gallade, which is awesome, again, because we can get great damage on this thing. And yeah, we do a solid 70%. And he was like, oh, this is a roll. It was actually not a roll. We are at 105 HP with this amount of percent HP investment. So unless he crits triple axle here, which is what he ends up going for, I thought it would be like, okay, cool, like we actually are 30%. I didn't even think about triple axle here, right? Makes sense, but I'm also like, ooh, triple axle into a potentially Rocky Helmet Garchomp, but again, it probably kills him too, so it's like not the worst thing in the world. But I thought Ice Punch was a little bit more likely, but maybe he was like a little bit worried about like sub Garchomp, which I can kind of understand. So he ends up going for triple axle here, and it's unfortunate because now we're out of range to be able to sub again, which kind of sucks. But we do live, so that's at least good. So now we, I really wanted Psychic here. I really wanted Psychic here, but it was too likely that he could have maybe gone something like Hydra. Very unlikely, because like it might have died to something like Flamethrower, like off crit. So should have probably Psychicked, because then we would have basically 2-KO'd the Rotom, which would have been nice. But that's fine. We're actually going to just go for the roll here. This is, I think, about 50, a little bit in my favor to kill, depending on what Rotom set this is. Ends up doing 53, so we don't get the kill there. I would have liked to save Delphox, and maybe I should have, honestly, because it just outspeeds the rest of his team. Maybe I should have gone something like Cofagrigus there, honestly, because, like, couldn't have got damage off, or even something like Garchomp. Like, Garchomp, honestly, isn't great in this matchup. But if he, because if he volts in, that's fine. We just go for Stone Edge and just kill him, because, like, what switches into Stone Edge? Melmetal? So maybe that would have been a better play. I guess he could have maybe gone Gallade, but then we just go hard Cofagrigus there. So we ended up going Fez. I'm very, like, fine with just going for Gunk Shot here, but we miss. So we would have just killed that Superior off rip, which would have been really, really nice, but he ends up going for Light Screen, which is interesting because most of my team is physical attacker, so I think, honestly, I feel like Reflect would have been better there. But anyway, we're going to Gunk again, though I knew this thing was coming in, but no need to risk, like, him just, like, staying in and reflecting. So I think that was more bad for me than him not staying in, because we can just go Cofagrigus here. So he does one. Awesome. Nice. 28%. After Mummy, that's going to do, like, less than half, right? So then we can pretty freely go for, like, a rest the next turn, whatever, right? Like, basically neuter this thing, right? But he crits the second Dire Iron Bash. I'm like, dude, that sucks. So miss Gunk Shot into crit double Iron Bash. That's really unfortunate. So that basically means that we now die to a second double Iron Bash, which is so brutal. Yeah, like that's so tough, right? Granted, it's a 2-hit move, right? Like, you can crit either one. So I'm like, okay, well, at the very least, right, like, he's going to take, like, he's going to be at, what, 33%, which is so nice for stuff like Garchomp. And we put him in range of Ogerpon, right? So I'm like, okay, awesome, whatever, like, that's fine. It's not the end of the world. But he goes for Earthquake, and then he crits the Earthquake! What the heck, man? Like, I'm like, bro, are you... at that point, I was like, bro, because then we could have gotten so much mileage out of just, like, resting with Cofagrigus. Then we get, like, a free, like, well, then again, he could have gone Rotom, so I probably would have gone... what would I have done? I probably would have gone hard Garchomp. Probably would have gone hard Garchomp there, or I would have gone, like... maybe slept Talk for a turn and then guard hard Garchomp. Or maybe I'd just stay in with Cofagrigus. Like, it sucks that obviously Rotom Heat is not 2%, but like, I don't really care about Rotom Heat's health because it's like, it's still going to take a lot. Obviously, it's nice for Fez, but that sucks. And now it basically sucks because it's like, we couldn't have even put this thing in range of Ogerpon. So it's like, that's really annoying. Okay, so anyway, we're going to go for low kick here. Just like put this thing in range of like some Fez stuff. Maybe Scale Shot from Garchomp. Ended up getting Mummied, so screw my Water Absorb. But it ends up Ice Punching, so it reveals Ice Punch. Pretty obviously we'd have that, but so at this point I'm just gonna go for Trailblaze here, because I figured, okay, if he just tries to stay in with this Melmetal, I can get a Trailblaze off and I can be faster than everything. Probably should have just spiked. Like, I think spiking there was probably my best play. But at the very least, I'm faster than the Serp, so he can't do, like, too much. He can just kind of, like, reflect, which is annoying. But, yeah, so I'm just going to spike here. At this point, it's, like, pretty nice to just be able to spike. So he ends up critting with Leaf Storm, which is, like, that's really, like, it's actually not that unfortunate. It just means that I kind of got to get this play right with Pheasantipity, because it's like, okay, now he only gets +2. But yeah, I think I low kicked there. I don't remember what I did. I mean, I think I just like cudgeled. Like, I don't remember what I did. The good thing is he doesn't get a reflect up, so that's very nice. I actually wanted to just like go for another layer of spikes, which is probably my best play in that scenario. But he crits it anyway, so that I would have always loved that, by the way. Because he was like actually no special attack, and also we would have loved whether he was special attack or not. So at this point, I'm like, okay, it's actually not a terrible situation for me, because at the very least, like, if I hit this Gunk and he goes to like something like Melmetal, he basically dies to another, and then we can probably win with like Gunk in the late game, because like, or like Gunk or Play Rough. Granted, he can reflect, so I think he could have gone Mel here, but he's basically taking 12, and then we can maybe make the Garchomp play, and then maybe win with Terapagos, win with a lot of stuff. Also could have won with Garchomp. Like, there was a lot of ways like I was out of this, but it's definitely not a great position, right? So I'm just gonna go. I'm like, you know what? Melmetal is very obvious here. If he stays in with the Serp and we get rid of this, like, that's a great position for me. We basically can, like, pretty much win the game with Terapagos. Like, I don't see a way, if we don't have Terra Shell not procced, he can win with that. So we go for Gunk and we just take out the Serp, which is something we should have done earlier. But again, it's an 80% accurate move. I'm not gonna be too annoyed by that. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, Terapagos should just kind of clean up this game, in theory, right? Like, because here's the thing, right? Like, even if you go something like we always have our Terra Shell intact, right? So I'm thinking at this point, I'm like, okay, Garchomp's actually, like, not great. Like, it kind of has to rely on him not going Lele to Scale Shot up. So I'm, like, very fine just sacking Garchomp, because no matter what, we get rid of this Melmetal. And he can't, like, double around unless he's, like, Defog, Rotom, Heat. So, like, no matter what he clicks, whether it's Double Iron Bash or Ice Punch, which I think Ice Punch was the better play here, because if I did win Garchomp, at least you take that out. And then you can go something like maybe like a setup Pokemon. But at the very least, like, we basically get a position where, like, you can break Terra Shell, and then you can, like, maybe do something with Hydreigon after. But, like, the thing is, everything's so low that, like, you probably, like, you might not even break Terra Shell. So, like, your best bet would be, like, going Ice Punch, and then, like, so I'm gonna go hard Garchomp, basically, and he ends up not going for Ice Punch. He just goes for Double Iron Bash, which is great, because we have a live Garchomp, which is amazing, because it basically forces him, okay, are you gonna go Mega Gallade? Like, basically, I mean, Play Rough endgame is looking really, really solid. We just have to make sure we preserve Terapagos for the Lele, or, like, U-turn around it. I don't know what we're gonna end up doing, but even U-turn actually endgame is, like, looking okay, because we can, like, maybe U-turn into Terap, like, take a hit. I don't know, but I feel like Garchomp was the best play there, because, like, we didn't really need it for this endgame. He ends up going Hydreigon here, which I think is fair. I just figured, I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. So either he stays in here. It would actually be a really good play if he's, like, Scarf Lele. But the thing is, like, Scarf Lele, like, if he's Lele, then, like, Terra Starstorm is, like, a roll at the percentage he's at. So he's at 60 when he comes back in. So I'm like, okay, we can either get the roll, or, like, if he comes in on 2 things with spikes, it's going to put a ton of mileage, and then by the next time he comes in, it's not a roll. It's a guaranteed kill. So I'm thinking, like, Rapid Spin Terapagos, like, we were invested so that after 2, we outspeed Hydra. So yeah, like, he basically can't let me get 2, which is really hard to do, and also break Terra Shell, right? Because Rotom's too low, and if he's not max speed, then he can never break Shell, and then also not get Rapid Spinned on. And even if he does, then, like, what is he gonna do? Like, I don't think he can kill into that. Maybe he can go for, like, Willow or something. So I don't know. I don't know what he would do. So anyway, he goes for Draco here, which is great, because, like, I'm like, oh, okay, like, Fez can come in here, but I'm actually gonna go Terapagos. I probably should have gone Pheasantipity, But I wanted to get a spin off, right? Because I'm like, okay, well, we can just go for spin here twice and maybe win the game. And Lele's the only thing that can possibly live, and then we can just win with play rough as long as we hit. So that was kind of like my end game. There's probably a better series of turns that would have won it, but I'm like, you know what, that's fine. He ends up missing Draco, which in my opinion is like just pure justice. Granted, like I think this all stems from me not clicking Dazzling Gleam on the Delphox, which I think was probably the better play, but I just figured, oh, if you're gonna try to like pivot around, like you're gonna get like cooked, right? So yeah, I mean, this Hydra would have been dead if I just made the right play, but that's fine. Anyway, we're gonna rapid spin. He ends up missing the Draco, so this is great because now we can just get to plus 2 speed, which basically means that we can outspeed everything, even Scarf Lele, so that's awesome. And this should put me in a position where I don't think I even died to like Specs Lele Psychic, unless he's like really, really maybe crits or something, or maybe he's like modest Specs. So, but either way, we should be able to just like clean this game up with honestly, we cleaned up with, oh no, because we don't clean it up with beat up because of the other stuff. I don't know if U-turn would have killed, I would have had to calc it with Pheasantipity, but no matter what, like it would have put this thing in range of either play rough, which as long as we hit 2 90% accurate moves, which, you know, couldn't hit, you know, about the same chance of hitting a gunk shot, so also getting crit. But we end up just getting the roll. That was a kind of unfortunate roll, actually. I think it was, I think it did like max like 62, so we got a high roll there, high roll as heck. But also possible that he didn't even kill us there, so it's possibly fine. And yeah, we're gonna end up taking this game. So kind of a tough game. Like we could have gone higher differential, but honestly, just happy to just pull out the win versus very haxy endgame. So yeah, that's gonna be our match. And then last but not least, we have Mr. Inker versus Sully. And this is a game where I feel like Floette just goes in. So I believe, just leaves Floette here. So he leaves Floette as he ends up leaving Slowbro, not Dracovish. I feel like Dracovish just goes insane here. Like Dracovish has no, and I mean no switch-ins, right? Like you don't have any Scarf Pokemon, like maybe a booster speed Gouge, but that's going to be tough. But makes a good opening call and ends up leaving Floette and just kind of can click buttons here. Ends up going for Calm Mind versus the Slowbro. It's actually T-Wave, so that's kind of unfortunate. So you go Moonblast here. Does a solid 33 here. And I actually kind of wanted to just stay in, but like, because I feel like Floette's pretty bulky. I feel like it could have taken that and just killed the Iron Moth right there. But I mean, Iron Moth's like not the hardest Pokemon to switch into for this team. I think, is this Mesprit AV? I don't know. So it ends up being U-turn. Great play. So we're in the driver's seat a little bit. It sucks to have like a Spidef, or what's it called? A paralyzed Floette, but it's fine. So it ends up being Colbur on his Darkrai, as it's unfortunate because he doesn't quite kill. So that did 26, and yeah, so that's a tough situation. Maybe you should have nasty plotted Raw. So it ends up Moonlighting to potentially outstall this Darkrai. But so nasty plot was a great play there, because they, like, if he tries to Moonlight, there you go. So now you Dark Pulse again. You do 71, and this Crest just Moonblasts and just kills this Darkrai. Now people are like, oh yeah, it's like I was kind of chatting with people during the match, and they were like yeah, it's a super effective move, but it's like, dude, that's a Cresselia. Like that thing is like 75 base special attack, and that's a +1 Moonblast. I get that it's super effective. That's Found Stab though. That's Darkrai. Like Darkrai's like not like bulky, but it's like 85-90. Like that should live that. So doing the calcs, it's actually max special attack modest, and even then it's a roll to kill. It's like 50-50 roll to kill no, and like that's assuming this was no bulk, which it definitely had HP. So this was definitely in Solry's favor to kill, because he was definitely speed crept for like Torn, which is like gives him like a few extra EVs and HP. And that's also like, and also taking into account flinch chancing, like that was a exchange I think was like probably 70% in Solry's favor. So the fact he gets like doesn't get flinch and he gets Moonblast, obviously flinch would suck, but like getting flinch there kind of puts him in like a goated position. Granted, you know, Dracovish kind of just comes in and revenge kills, but it's like, yeah, that would have been really brutal. So anyway, he's gonna go Gouge, which is fine, I guess. Like, I guess it kills. But Gouge is, like, kind of bad this matchup. Like, it just kind of gets screwed by Slowbro here. Granted, like, he doesn't have Helmet, but it's like, that's... I don't know. I don't think... I don't think using Gouge was the play there. But again, like, what else can... I don't think Zangoose can kill it with Facade. But I feel like... I don't know. Maybe it does. I don't know. But you also probably aren't getting killed back. Like, maybe knock off on Mesprit, but also he's not Colbur. Like, how much did U-turn do before with Mesprit? Did it do enough? It did 26. I guess it was 27. Or was that 27, right? So that's a kind of unfortunate series of turns. But anyway, he makes Floette play. That does 20%, so insane. And that Moonblast does so much damage. Holy crap. And you're faster. So ends up going Cress and gets Parrot, so that's so unfortunate. Like, you would have just killed this Cress and it would have been such a good position. But he goes Zangoose, and he's basically able to do the same thing, just taking a little bit more chip. Goes for Facade, yeah. So at this point, you kind of just go either he goes Iron Moth, goes for Meteor Beam, and does a solid chunk, but it's not going to be enough to be able to 2-kill this Mesprit, unfortunately. Does he go for Psychic? No, or he goes for Drain Punch, which is very interesting. I assume thinking King Gambit's going to come in, but I feel like Slowbro is pretty free there. I guess you can U-turn the next turn, but I think U-turning after that would have been fine because you could go solo like you're gouging fire. Calls that play right, ends up going Moonblast again, and gets paralyzed again, which absolutely sucks. But he goes Moonblast, gets nasty spot with Torn, but he misses a Hurricane. So makes up for those paras, in my opinion. Yeah, it's going to be a nice series of plays there. So Floette is pretty free to just click Psychic here because I feel like Sludge Wave is pretty obvious. And if he wants to make the play... I feel like, honestly, I don't really hate the play of just going for, like, Sludge Bomb or Sludge Wave there. Like, even if it goes Skarmory, like, you love Skarmory breaking Sturdy for stuff like King Gambit and stuff. And Mesprit dies to 2 anyway, so it's like... Or maybe it doesn't die. I don't know. So, but I feel like Gouging Fire was a solid play there as well. But anyway, gets to play wrong, and he ends up going Dracovish and sacks off his Floette. I think sacking off was tough, like, maybe... Because obviously you kind of like Floette around for the Slowbro, because like being able to like kill Slowbro is really nice. Now you're gonna really struggle with that in the late game. So Fish is running to do that, and then we're in a position where I think just going for DD might have been the play there. But again, you get some chip on Dracovish, puts it in quick attack range. I think that was kind of the goal there. But yeah, Scarf Dracovish just kind of like put in the work that it always does, and yeah, he's gonna go King Gambit. Which, again, I think, was there a better play there? Maybe if you were, like, Iron Defense, Body Press, Scarm, maybe? But obviously you kind of, like, get cooked by Slowbro. So now you're in a tough spot. But he makes a good play, goes Scarm, kind of pressuring Body Press, so now he kind of has to make the double into Zangoose, predicting Slowbro as he makes the right play. Awesome. Facade feels pretty free here. Obviously you got to be worried about this thing. Ends up being Fling, which, like... I don't think that was the turn to play Fling. I think Slowbro... I guess being Toxic is good. I don't know. It was a tough turn there. Like, I understand Fling because, like, you wanted to Toxic that Slowbro. So, good prep, but just didn't work out. Ends up losing the 50-50 on Sucker. Still can kind of do some stuff with Gouging Fire. So, he goes Morning Sun. He's clicking Knockoff. It's just doing so much damage is the unfortunate part. And he gets finally the call right. He goes for SD. I don't think Heat Crash even kills though. And he goes for Knockoff straight up because he's like, I don't care. This is how you play King Gambit, just like not caring about what the opponent does, just clicking Knock and only clicking Sucker when you can secure the kill. Yeah, so Heat Crash goes off. He doesn't even die, and then he just goes for Knock and wins the game. So yeah, an unfortunate series of turns by Sully. I think that the Crest living was like really crucial. And it was kind of unfortunate. But anyway, that's going to be our week number 7. And yeah, I'll see you guys week 8, and peace out.